Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So we're continuing with our stencil techniques. And this one, I'm sure most of you know how to do, but I thought we'd put it into our playlist anyway, just so you've got it to refer to. So I've already got on my mat the 6x6 Sophistication stencil from Sentimentally Yours, and I've taped it down just top and bottom with a bit of Scotch low tack tape, and I'm using heavyweight white cardstock, and we're going to be using the texture medium from Sentimentally Yours. So let's pop some of that down and spread it, because I know some of you might not have seen my other videos, so I think it's useful to always start, if we're using texture medium, in the same way. So just using a spreader to pop some at the top of the stencil. Let's leave that out for now. And then we're using a Woodware scraper tool. They come in a pack of 2. And everything I'm using you'll find over on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses. You'll also find them over at honeypotcrafts.co.uk too. So we're just going to use the scraper. I think gives you a more even finish. It also means that you don't waste as much, and you get, as I say, nice even finish, and you do normally end up with some to put back in the pot as well, because you're not putting it on so thick. Let me just see if I can get rid of that. A little bit there. I keep on bringing it down and putting it, there, it's on the stencil now. That's fine. Try not to have too many lines. And there is a DL stencil as well, which coordinates with this one. So we can put all that back in the pot, except I'm going to pick out that mucky bit and put that back in the pot. As always, you need to make sure, and I will show you, that you clean the top of your pot, because this is a texture medium, which means you can use it like a glue. So if you've got excess around the top of your pot, you are going to seal that pot shut, and you won't be able to get your valuable medium out, which is, a waste of money, isn't it? So always clean the top. I'm going to fetch this off. Obviously you can't reuse your tape. They do last a long time, the rolls of tape though. Don't hang about, don't take too long. In fact, you probably need to be a bit quicker than me. We can pull that off. Okay, and now that's nice and white, and it will dry clear. So we'll wait for that to dry clear, and then we'll do the next bit. Okay, so our background's all dry now. You can see it's lovely and glossy, and it's clear. And now we're just going to add some distress inks on top. So it's a really, really simple technique, but sometimes, have a reminder. And I've just chosen 3 distress inks. We've got Saltwater, Taffy, Kitsch, Flamingo and Villainous Potion. So they're 3 relatively new ones. And again, you'll find them all on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. So we're going to start with the lightest one. Well, it's hard to know which is lightest between Kitsch, Flamingo and Saltwater Taffy, but we're going to go Saltwater Taffy. So I want to use a brush for this, and we're just going to bring some into certain areas. Now this isn't watercolour card, and it does react differently on watercolour card. It's actually easier to use watercolour card than it is to use this, but this is white, whereas watercolour card is like an off-white. Having said that though, the texture medium does look pretty white when you do this over the top, and I'll show you one that I have done. That's my Villainous potion on the floor. That's a first. It landed with its lid on. They don't normally, they normally land with the lid off, face down. so you have a mess. So I'm working to try and get a really, really good amount of ink on here, because it'll pop more if you know, if it's deeper in colour. Then we'll just move on to Kitsch Flamingo, which is quite a pale pink actually. If you want a darker pink, you can go for Pick Raspberry. Let's bring some of that in the middle. But it does blend really nicely with the Saltwater Taffy. Some just down here as well. Obviously the brushes you don't get such an intensity of colour as you do with the blend it tools or the sponges. You have to work a little bit harder. Okay, it's looking good though. And then we're going to bring in some of the Villainous potion, which is quite a dark purple. You could go Wilted Violet, which is not quite so dark. Don't worry at this stage if you're thinking, oh, some of it doesn't look very white, because we're going to buff it up. And by that I mean we're going to remove the ink that might be sitting on top of the texture medium. You can do exactly the same kind of technique with Versamark and clear embossing powder, but obviously with the texture medium you get there's more depth to the texture. Let's have a little tiny bit of purple down here, maybe a bit just coming in on the top there. Right, I think that's enough. And we're going to get some kitchen roll. Get two pieces actually, so I can have one to hold it and one to buff it. So just come in with your kitchen roll and give it a rub over the top, and you see you remove any excess ink. There's not a lot of excess ink on there. And you can go in as many times as you want to and put some more ink on top, or if you're not happy with, say if you think you've got too much purple, there's not a lot you can do about the stronger colour, but you can come in and you can put, say if I want a bit more pink, and with the Kitsch Flamingo, okay, and we can try and dull down some of that purple. Some of it does come off on your brush though, because obviously Distress stays wet for a while, but we can actually dull down a bit of that purple. And again, remember, if you add more ink, buff it up, and it's got a real pop to it. Isn't that lovely? Really, really nice background. Really like that. And I did the same technique on this card, which I have shared on my Facebook page, and you can just about see in the background. That's the Cinnamon Swirl stencil from Indigo Blue, and these are dies by Sample. It's called the layered ripped papers that I've used, and I've used the Sentimentally Yours Notebook Botanicals. This one is called Tranquility, and this is your Floral Curios Sweetheart Sentiments as well. But I've used the same three colours of Distress ink in the background there. In fact, something else that you can do, I'll just show you. You can actually change it a little bit. So that's beautiful, absolutely love it. Put a frame around it, pop a sentiment and some flowers, you've got yourself a flower, a card rather. What you can do is put some water in your hand and do what my my friend Sue Wilson calls the happy clappy. I've got a big blob there. So what you're doing is you're flicking it. You could just flick the water if you wanted to. And because distress reacts with water, you just leave it a second or two. There's a big blob there. Big blob. And then you can blot it off with kitchen roll. It will still fade a little tiny bit while the card is drying out. Again, it works better on watercolour card. But we can see that we've got some bleaching out from that, and that just gives that background a little bit more texture. Obviously that's a big bit there, so I'm going to stick a butterfly on that or something, but obviously you work around any flaws there are in your backgrounds. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Do like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. I love to read your comments, and I read all of them. And there is a playlist with stencil techniques. You will find them on there, and there's well over 20 so far, and I am adding to them. And thank you so much for watching.